Coupling and uncoupling procedure. This procedure of coupling and uncoupling a prime mover and semi-trailer is proudly sponsored by Jost Australia, who actively promote safe trucking around the nation. If not performed correctly, this vitally important task can lead to serious accidents, injury and vehicle damage. Definitions: fifth wheel. A device used for coupling a prime mover to a semi-trailer. A fixed fifth wheel, as the term suggested, is fixed to the prime mover and the kingpin and trailer skid plate rotate while resting on top of the fifth wheel. Ball race turntable. Has a base fixed to the prime mover and the top attached to the fifth wheel, and it rotates easily via a series of internally mounted ball bearings. On trailers fitted with a block, the trailer moves with the top plate of the fifth wheel. Kingpin. A pin on a semi-trailer skid plate that locks into a prime mover's fifth wheel jaws. Skid plate. A thick steel plate fixed to the underside of the front of the semi-trailer and incorporating the kingpin, and often a block to keep the skid plate from turning on the upper part of fifth wheels mounted on ball race turntables. The front of the plate is usually curved upwards to enable the prime mover to slide more easily under the trailer during coupling. Throat. The opening of the rear of the fifth wheel to allow the kingpin to easily move into the jaws. Jaw. The mechanism that wraps around the kingpin, securing it to the fifth wheel. Lockable bar. The secondary mechanism to ensure the kingpin is secure in the fifth wheel. Secondary safety latch. The tab that ensures the release handle will not come loose during travel. Release handle. The handle to release the jaws when uncoupling the trailer. Non-metallic. Greaseless fifth wheels use non-metallic pads to reduce friction between the skid plate and the fifth wheel top. This means that grease is not required on the top plate, giving the obvious benefits of reduced grease costs and less cleaning for maintenance. Coupling. Step 1. Inspect for block and open jaws. Before coupling the prime mover to the trailer, you should do the following inspection. Check the trailer skid plate. Has the trailer got a block welded or bolted to the plate behind the kingpin? If so, is the turntable compatible and unlocked? Check the skid plate, kingpin, turntable, fifth wheel and jaws for damage and size, that is 50mm or 90mm. Make sure the jaw and wedge are not visible in the throat of the fifth wheel. This is known as the open position.
Here we have the JSK 37 series turntable, and we're just going to point out some of the main features that go together to lock around the trailer kingpin and make sure that the trailer kingpin's locked into the fifth wheel and it's safe. So we have the wear ring in the top here. Below that we have the lock jaw, which we've painted red so that it stands out, and then we've chromed the lock bar, so again so it stands out, so it's quite visible. That's the fifth wheel's fully locked up there at the moment. The lock jaw's in the closed position, the lock bar's gone across behind to hold it shut. Just to show you those components out of the fifth wheel, here we have our wear ring. That's the one that sits in the top. We have the lock jaw. That's the red device that's located underneath. It swings open and closed. Works on a pivot pin here. And once that lock jaw is closed, our lock bar then goes across behind, and that forms a positive lock. We open the fifth wheel up. You'll see the lock bar gets retracted back out. That's allowed our lock jaw to swing into the open position.
If the jaw and wedge are visible, lift the secondary safety latch and move the handle towards the front to release the lock. Then pull the handle out as far as it will go. With the handle pulled out, swing it forward to engage the edge of the plate. Now the fifth wheel is in the open position and the jaw and wedge are set to accept the trailer kingpin. For a fixed fifth wheel, make sure the top plate is well greased or non-metallic plate is not damaged. For trailers without a block and turntable, will need to be in the locked position and the top of the fifth wheel well greased. Visually inspect the trailer for protruding hazards that may cause injury or damage to the vehicle. Step 2. Connect. Reverse the prime mover into position straight in front of the trailer. Use your mirrors to line up the sides of the trailer with the outer sides of the prime mover's mudguards, and reverse back so that the rear mudguards on the prime mover are in line with the front of the trailer. Apply the park brake. Get out of the cabin and check that the fifth wheel and kingpin are lined up, and to ensure the fifth wheel is not turned off-center on a ball race turntable. Check that the height of the trailer skid plate is at least the same height as the fifth wheel. If the trailer is too low, the prime mover chassis and turntable can hit the trailer front and cause damage to airlines, electrical connections and body of van. If this is the case, wind the trailer up. Lower the airbags and select low reverse, and then slowly reverse the prime mover until the fifth wheel is under the skid plate, stopping with the front of the trailer in line with the front guards. This prevents all the grease being scraped off the top of the fifth wheel. Raise the airbags to the normal ride height. If there is limited room between the front of the trailer and back of the cabin when the unit is coupled together, connect the airlines and light lead. Wind the landing legs up until the feet are clear of the ground and there is no air gap between the skid plate and the turntable. Resume slow reverse under the trailer until the fifth wheel jaws lock around the kingpin. You should hear a distinct clunk as the jaws close and lock into place. Step 3 Test. Tug test. Check the trailer is locked on by selecting first gear, then letting up the clutch to the friction point in first gear. The prime mover should not move. Apply the park brake. Get out and visually check that the coupling release lever or pull handle has fully retracted and the secondary locking latch has dropped into its downward position. Use a flashlight if necessary to go under the trailer and look into the back of the throat of the fifth wheel. The locking mechanism should be engaged across the entire throat of the fifth wheel and secured around the kingpin. Make sure the bottom flange of the pin is not sitting on top of jaws. Also, the trailer is sitting firmly on the fifth wheel by checking there is no air gap between the fifth wheel and the trailer skid plate. Raise the landing gear. Keep winding up until fully raised. Leave the landing gear engaged. Make sure the handle is properly stowed or damage can occur. If you haven't already done so, connect air hoses and electrical cables. When connecting airlines, ensure the connection tabs are locked on the joiners, 1/4 turn. If fitted, the shut-off valves are turned on to supply air and charge to the trailer. On prime movers with the air supply valve on the interior dash, it is advisable to activate supply while the trailer check is done, as this will charge the air brake system and air suspension on the trailer. Check to ensure that all the lights on the trailer are working. If using a trailer for the first time, check the clearance movement between the prime mover's frame and wheel guards and the trailer. Check also that there is enough clearance between the landing gear and the back of the truck frame to allow for turning. Step 4. Check. Before moving off, do a second tug test by applying the trailer brakes and again taking up the friction point in first gear. This is to confirm your trailer is securely hitched and the trailer brakes are serviceable. Finally, as you move forward at low speed, no more than 5 km/h in a straight line, do a third tug test by slowly applying pressure to the trailer brake handpiece. This confirms that the trailer is securely hitched and the supply and service pressure to the trailer brakes have reached operating levels. On trailers with and airbag suspension, the trailer should dip slightly to confirm that the brakes are adjusted correctly. Uncoupling procedure. Step 1. Before uncoupling. Position. Make sure your combination is parked on a level surface, which is firm enough to support the trailer landing gear and its load. If you have to uncouple on soft ground, put a suitable strong timber or other flat supports under the landing gear. Make sure the prime mover and semi-trailer are in a straight line and apply the maxi brakes on the prime mover. Step 2. Disconnect cables and lines. Disconnect the air hoses and electrical cables from the trailer. Stow them properly on the prime mover, making sure that the connectors are kept free of water and dust and that they cannot get caught on the tail shaft. Make sure air supply taps are turned off if fitted. Lower the landing gear until the supports are in contact with the ground. Ensure a visual check is conducted to make sure both legs have been lowered. Step 3. Release the jaw. To release the fifth wheel jaws, raise the secondary safety latch and move the handle towards the front to release the lock, then pull the handle out as far as it will go. With the handle pulled out, swing it forward to engage the edge of the plate. Now the fifth wheel is in the open position. Step 4. Drive forward. Release the prime mover parking brake and slowly drive forward 10 to 20 centimeters in a straight line. Dump the airbags. Wait until there is a gap between the trailer skid plate and the top of the fifth wheel. This ensures the trailer is sitting firmly on the landing gear. If not, it provides the opportunity to rectify the situation without any damage to the equipment. Then drive forward until the fifth wheel is just clear of the trailer skid plate. Make sure the trailer stays put. On airbag suspension prime movers, ensure the airbags are down prior to completely clearing the trailer. If they are still fully inflated, damage may occur to the mudguards and the trailer, or the kingpin could get hooked on the rear cross member of the prime mover chassis. After the prime mover has completely cleared the trailer, reset the airbags to the normal travelling height.
At the end of your shift, or when parking the vehicle for any length of time, and you intend disconnecting the trailer, always ensure the prime mover has been uncoupled as per the company procedure, with the rear suspension airbags reset to the normal ride height and the prime mover pulled clear of the trailer.
Failure to comply with this procedure will result in disciplinary action being taken against individuals causing damage through negligence. Special thanks to Jost Australia and Highland Haulage de Lorraine for their assistance compiling this procedure. Jost fifth wheels are now available for specification at all major OEMs. For information on how to specify Jost on your next order, visit www.jostaustralia.com.au for guidance. This has been another Quality Safety Resources training production.